to the ways policies are made and implemented.
President Buhari receives members of NIP's Senior Executive Course 43, directs MDAs to mainstream policies for a prosperous Nigeria. Nigeria and the US work out modalities for collaboration on global health, security, energy, and economic growth. Plus, Nigeria's economy retains positive projections amid slight contrast. Good evening. This is NTA Network News reaching you live. I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. Hingino John Adams joins us from Lagos, while Felicia Dalia Samaila is in Jos. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has formally briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on reasons for the passage of the provision of direct primaries in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill passed by the National Assembly. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that the Speaker, accompanied by some members of the House, met the President behind closed doors. Discussions during the high-level engagement that lasted about 1 hour centered on the controversy surrounding the new legislation as well as other critical national issues. Speaking to newsmen shortly after, Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila attributed the position of the House on direct primaries to the selfless desire of legislators to sustain and strengthen democracy in the country.
We are for direct primaries. We are for direct primaries. We are for empowering the people from at the grassroots level. Let everybody participate in governance. Democracy is defined as government of the people, for the people, and by the people. People is used 3 times in that definition. And it doesn't start from general election, it starts from the primaries. So we've made it very clear, abundantly clear. You pass the not too young to run bill, but at the same time, you close the space for the young ones who you've passed the bill to run. You continue with your indirect primaries, how would the young people get involved? Now they have a chance with the direct primaries. You've opened up the space, and they can get in and mobilize themselves, and whoever, if they're popular enough, they win the election. They're not dependent on any godfather.
There's this concern that you are fighting because you are being aged out.
Let me tell you something very clearly. For me, and I've said it over and over again, the indirect primary is easier for me, at least as far as my constituency is concerned. The indirect primary is easier for me. But because I don't want to be selfish, because I want to look at the bigger picture, I would rather go with direct primaries. Let everybody come on, but if they vote me out, they vote me out.
Is the president in support of your
The president has always been, we all know that, the whole world knows that, he's always been, from his inception in politics, he's always been a direct primaries because he's a very popular man.
The ministries, departments and agencies, as well as the National Steering Committee on Vision 2050, have been directed to study the report submitted by the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies with a view to considering its recommendations and incorporating them as executive strategy. The report, presented by participants of the Senior Executive Course 43, made far-reaching recommendations on how best to ensure effective policy design and implementation in Nigeria for a prosperous future. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the directive at this year's presidential parley with the course participants. The State House correspondent Adamu Sambu has the details.
Getting things done, strategies for policy and program implementation in Nigeria was the focus of the nearly 1-year research work by participants of the Senior Executive Course 43 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. President Muhammadu Buhari, who received the report after an interactive engagement with the participants drawn from all walks of life, noted with delight that the research work has not only drawn attention to his administration's numerous efforts at policy and program implementation, but also generated constructive and compelling recommendations.
This confirms to me and our administration of the consistency and reliability of the National Institute in delivering on very critical and sensitive assignments of national importance. The gaps between policy design and program implementation must be closed in order for our country to continue to make meaningful progress. No nation will progress without paying close attention to the ways policies are made and implemented.
While congratulating the participants for justifying the confidence reposed in them, the president also applauded the National Institute for living up to expectations, especially by demonstrating high sense of patriotism and deep knowledge about Nigeria and challenges being faced.
I am convinced that you are now well equipped for the task of handling higher and more complex responsibilities for the benefit of our country. I therefore urge you to go back to your various establishments and put to work all that you have learned. This administration has invested great efforts in the provision of good governance and has made tremendous progress at getting the desired results. This report becomes important and timely in our quest to enhance service delivery to our citizens.
Acting Director General of NIBS, retired Brigadier General Chukwuemeka Udaya, was full of appreciation to the President for his doggedness and common zeal and purposeful leadership towards achieving a better Nigeria.
We salute your courage for stabilizing the economy of the country after a threatening recession, a disruptive COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the volatility in the price of oil at the global markets. We acknowledge equally and salute the efforts of our military men and women under your leadership, and indeed all security forces for the sacrifices they are making to defeat the insurgency, banditry, and all sorts of violent crime and bring about lasting peace in our country. Your Excellency's aggressive stance against corruption and firm regard for transparency and accountability is a constant source of hope to Nigerians.
Some of the participants spoken to gave some insights into the research findings following their studies and reflections.
What we have done was to look at the programs of government holistically and give our recommendation with a view of implementing them towards getting a better Nigeria.
Policy is the connection between government intention and the actual delivery to the people. Active citizen participation is critical for us to get things done in Nigeria.
The Senior Executive Course 43 is made up of 85 participants who, apart from going on study tours, also carried out individual and group research works as well as vigorous intellectual debates to arrive at their recommendations. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has commended the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, for the steps it has taken so far to protect cultural heritage around the world. The minister stated this while making his submission at the 41st session of the UNESCO General Conference in Paris, France. Anthony Forsin reports.
The 41st session of the conference began with the election of candidates into the board of the Commission for Culture. Top on the agenda of the Nigerian delegation, led by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, Nigeria is grateful to UNESCO for championing the cause of protecting cultural heritage.
It had Nigeria in mind. You see that the emphasis is largely on the areas of COVID-19 pandemic's effect on the cultural industry, on the issue of illicit trafficking of cultural heritage. And
the minister also solicited for support in the area of training, describing the agenda of the session as timely as it keys into Nigeria's plans for the sector.
The good news is that there is an agreement, an arrangement between the military authorities and the NCMM and the Ministry of Information and Culture on how to protect monuments and how to protect, works of art, cultural heritage. And I'm particularly impressed that even in the War College, a course is being taught on how to protect these monuments, even during conflict. So generally, I think that UNESCO is on course.
Nigeria is doing a lot in that direction, and so that people begin to see the importance of culture in education, in science, even in science and technology, so that we bring it to the fore. Like any other countries, we believe that once we do that, we should be in a better position, to develop Nigeria as it is.
UNESCO has for now reinforced the essential role in response to development, security, and humanitarian challenges facing countries around the world. In Paris, France, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Sunday Dare, has disclosed that plans are underway for the resuscitation of the National Sports Commission scrapped by government in 2015, and that a bill towards achieving this is before the National Assembly. He made this known at the executive press briefing organized by the presidential media team. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This is the 24th session of the weekly press briefing by executives of ministries, departments and agencies. On the platform is the Minister of Sports and Youth Development, Sunday Dare. The minister speaks of a number of initiatives, programs, activities and policies of his ministry.
Because of the work we've done in 18 months and then the reclassification of sports into business, the National Development Plan that was approved last week, Wednesday, for the first time allocated 88 billion naira to sports development in 4 years. But we didn't do sports alone. We also did something for youth. And the youth development also got 60 billion naira. So the successor plan to the ARPG has sports at the table, but also getting about 2.5 to 3% of the total money that's going on.
The minister strongly believes that the Nigerian National Sports Commission should return.
We've had 2 public hearings. We believe strongly that the National Sports Commission should return. A new structure, a new orientation, benchmarked against similar.
Minister Sunday Dare also wants private organizations to get involved in sports development and possibly acquire and run some of the existing football clubs in the country.
The Super Eagles must qualify for Qatar 2020. We know the power of football, and we will do whatever is necessary. We will make whatever amends is required. We'll be timely about it to make sure that Nigeria's football is of the highest quality.
The ministry is equally promoting sports programs in the grassroots and has revived the Catch Them Young sports programs the nation benefits greatly from in the past. Present are executives of agencies under the ministry. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
On budget support facility from the federal government to states, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved an abridged financing facility to the state governments. The abridged facility is for 656 billion naira, which will be disbursed in 6 tranches over a period of 6 months to the states. It will have a tenure with a 2-year moratorium and an interest rate of 9%. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning at the National Economic Council virtual meeting chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Here again is Jide Onifade with the report.
Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, who briefed the press after the virtual meeting, says the National Economic Council received a situation report on COVID-19 cases in the country.
It's only today we received the information that at least Nigeria has enough vaccines, to go around. So right now, every state governor has returned, with the mission that one, we are going to go around and start campaign.
He says people are no longer taking the issue of COVID-19 pandemic serious, which is the main reason for the increase in fatalities. Governors, he says, will continue to ensure that the people are well vaccinated. So far, the number of deaths recorded is 2,173. On cholera, which is another cause of high number of deaths in recent times, the governor said states are already taking action to calm the storm.
The situation in the country has so far affected 100,157 cases. and 32 states plus the FCT are affected, and the total number of deaths, even on that one, remains high, with over 3,449 cases.
Deputy Governor of Ebonyi State, Eric Kelechi Igwe, says NEC also received the report of Ad hoc Committee on National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, presented by the Governor of Ekiti State on how states could benefit from NASENI.
The committee also frowned at states coming up with their own initiative, but advised that all initiatives should be submitted to NASENI in order to achieve alignment with NASENI's initiative. And that NASENI also should give a briefing on a quarterly basis to monitor how NASENI is impacting industrialization and entrepreneurship in Nigeria. The Council also should set up a framework for NASENI's operations.
Excess accounts, the balance as at the 15th of November is $60 million. For the stabilization account, the balance is 27 billion naira. For the development of natural resources account, the balance is over 60 billion naira. Also, the finance minister disclosed that there is progress
in the State House. Jide Onifade, NT News.
You're watching the news on NTU. We'll take a short break now. Stay with us.
Enjoy the reward that sharing brings with the Airtel Family Plan. Get bonus talk time, SMS and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now.
Now everybody knows
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Abuja holds 9th convocation. Sunday, 21st November 2021, the climax of a week-long activities of Abuja 12 Founders Day celebration beginning from 16th November. Saturday, 28th November, 11 a.m. Convocation lecture by TED Fund Executive Secretary Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro and the commissioning of 4 completed projects, including Suleiman Bogoro Research Center.
Founders Dinner and Awards Night will follow.
21st November, 10 a.m. prompt. Convocation of Abuja 9th set of students.
3 frontline traditional rulers and Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Zulum will receive honorary awards.
Join Abuja to celebrate its 12th anniversary of evolutionary milestones.
Abuja, a vision in action.
The federal government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Health, in collaboration with NPH, CDA and partners, has massively increased vaccination sites across the country to expand access for citizens to seamlessly get vaccinated. In addition to the health facilities, you can now receive the COVID-19 vaccine at shopping malls, open markets, schools, general hospitals, tertiary health institutions, and many centers across Nigeria. This is in addition to at least 1 primary healthcare center per political ward. To this end, the federal government is flagging off the next phase of the national COVID-19 mass vaccination campaign in Abuja. The general public is hereby invited to be part of the flag-off and use the opportunity to receive the COVID-19 jab as follows. Date, Friday, the 19th of November 2021. Venue, Eagle Square, Abuja, FCT. Time, 10 a.m. This message is from National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
The Nigerian Communications Commission, in exercise of its functions under the Nigerian Communications Act 2003, has published the final information memorandum for the upcoming auction of the 3.5 GHz spectrum band and stakeholders' responses to comments on the information memorandum as part of its 5G technology deployment plan on November 10, 2021. Stakeholders are by this notice invited to peruse these 2 documents, indicating the start date of receipt of applications for the auction. The documents are to be found on the Commission's website at www.ncc.gov.ng. The attention attention of stakeholders is drawn particularly to Section 1 of the Information Memorandum. Further to the above, winners of the auction are required to make final payment by February 25, 2022. All applications to participate at the auction must reach the Commission on or before Wednesday, November 24, 2021, and should be addressed to the Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission, Plot 423 Aguiyi Street, Maitama, Abuja. Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive NCC, Professor Umar Garba Ambata Nausa.
NCC.
Connecting Nigeria.
There is a saying that Christmas is what you make of it. At Bedmates Furniture, we enjoy making your Christmas comfortable and exciting with the furniture we provide you. That's why from 1st November to 18 December 2021, Bedmates offers you and your loved ones amazing luxury furniture your home loves and truly needs at up to 70% discount. You also stand a chance to win fridges, TVs, washing machines, and many more as we keep making your living better through the furniture you love.
Do you hold leadership in a women's cooperative of economic association? Do you need training in leadership to advance women's economic development? Then this is for you. The Citizenship and Leadership Training Center, a parastatal of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, in collaboration with the National Council for Women's Societies and the Development Research and Project Center Powered Project, is offering a workshop. Date 28th November to 1st December 2021. Venue, National Center for Women's Development. Visit info@gov.ng or Daily Trust and Nation newspapers of 19th November 2021. Announcer Dr. Laraba Shoda and Dr. Alero Ajekota. The Powered Project is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Thanks for staying with us. Nigeria's economy is showing sustained growth in spite of a recent slump in figures, as the gross domestic product GDP grew by 4.03%, that's on year-on-year real terms in the third quarter of 2021. Muplang Dakok reports that this is released in the latest GDP figures by the National Bureau of Statistics.
Despite the global impact of COVID-19, Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 4.03%, sustaining growth over the last 4 quarters. Speaking on the numbers, Statistician General of the Federation, Simon Harry, expressed optimism that the economy is still showing sustained positive growth despite the decline of 0.98% from the second quarter of 2021.
In quarter 2, which was a tremendous improvement, the nation recorded a growth of 5.01%. And so all these were as a result of majorly the base effects of the negative GDP recorded in 2020. And so this trend has also continued and indeed is affecting the quarter 3 GDP, which is recording a growth of 4.03%.
The data shows that at the end of the quarter, the oil sector grew by 7.4%, while the non-oil sector grew by 5.44%. Fastest growing sectors were rail transport and pipeline, metal ores, oil transport, and financial institutions, while the slowest growth was recorded in oil refining, crude, petrol, and natural gas.
Once again,
just as the GDP figures were released, Nigeria joined the rest of Africa to mark this year's African Statistics Day, where key players say Nigeria must lead the rest of Africa in moving decisively towards reforms in statistics for economic growth.
I hope that today's dialogue will address the various challenges in the Nigerian statistical system and provide the way forward for a better and effective statistical delivery in the country.
The theme for this year is modernizing national statistical systems to support socio-cultural development in Africa. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok.
And to speak more on the economy and the likely impact of a fluctuating economic growth rate, development economist Niya Kinshiju joins me in the studio. Thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure always. Thanks so much.
How do you explain fluctuations in economic growth in spite of an increase in GDP or so?
Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. The truth of the matter is Nigeria's economy is divided into 2 broad categories, the oil sector and the non-oil sector. where the two sectors grow at the same time, it may not likely reflect a fluctuation in the larger economy. But where one grows and one declines or contracts, you see what you call the contraction. The oil sector has not been performing very well over the last 6 quarters, more or less. And in this Q3 quarter that we're talking about, it actually declined further than what it was. The figure returned in Q2. So much that in terms of production, and let's look at the production figures. The production figure is stated at 1.57 million barrels a day, compared to Q2, 1.61 million barrels a day. So that shows that we were underproducing, more or less, and we were earning lesser from the oil sector. But what had gingered or what have driven the figures for the GDP, as it were, is the non-oil sector, which is a major indicator, of the diversification of the economy.
All right, that may well be so, but how do you place the GDP, and what's your response to suggestions that, yes, the GDP is good for statistics, but in the long run, it's what the citizen can have and better his lot that actually matters?
Don't forget that the GDP is a measure of value and is a process. So wherefore we have experienced a dip in the GDP over 2 consecutive quarters in Q2 2020 and Q3 2020. And of course, that declared us as the status of a recession, and with all manners of implication, for the common man, as you have said. Now, these figures that we have seen over the last 4 quarters shows that we have grown out of recession, we have exited recession, and we are now growing into buoyancy. So the 4 quarters of growth that we have seen is a suggestion of correction of whatever mishap must have happened in the economy.
Which might not necessarily be back to the good times in real terms.
No, it is not about back to the good times. It's about growing into the good times.
Okay, well, all right, but finally...
No, because if you look at manufacturing was a low 0.14% in first quarter 2021. Now it's 4.29. It tells us that activities are expanding in the manufacturing sector.
Well, there are worries about a likely budget deficit. That's given what we're seeing today, increasing public debt. Now, with this scenario, can you confidently say that Nigeria can still attain the growth it set for itself in 2022?
Yeah, even in 2021 projections, I think Nigeria would attain it. Don't forget that the World Bank projected 2.6% growth for 2021. Nigeria itself projected 3% growth, GDP growth in 2021, and the World Bank 2.7% in 2022. But as it is now, the figures are talking above 3%. The 2021 GDP figures, aggregates, are talking above 3%. So which means that likely the projections, the actual figures when we had the final quarter, that's Q4 2021 to the figures now, it's likely to be higher than the World Bank projection, World Bank projection at 2.6, and the 3.0 projection by the federal government.
Well, overall, still work in progress. Right?
Well, all economies. Right, don't also forget that even larger economies are producing negative, GDPs in the last 3 quarters.
Nia Kinshiju, development economist, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, as always.
Right. In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has formally reacted to the recently released NSAS probe panel report, saying the federal government will allow the system to exhaust itself by waiting for pronouncement from state governments which set up the investigative panels. This was while exchanging views with the visiting U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. State House correspondent Adam Sambu reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari told the U.S. Secretary of State that with so many state governments involved and different terms of reference given to the probe panels, the federal government has resolved to wait for the steps taken by the states and allow the system to work. We can't impose ideas on them, he explained. And on the recent removal of Nigeria from the watch list of countries violating religious freedom, which Mr. Blinken said was based on facts, President Buhari expressed the country's appreciation, noting that there is freedom of worship in Nigeria and no one is discriminated against on the basis of his or her faith. The president equally appreciated the United States for allowing Nigeria to procure military hardware to fight terrorism in the country and for the training given to Nigerian military. The gesture, he explained, is helping Nigeria to stabilize the situation in the northeast, and a lot of progress has been made since 2015, and the people involved appreciate the efforts of government. President Buhari also touched on the impact of climate change, which affected the livelihood of about 30 million people in the Lake Chad Basin countries, saying interbasin water transfer is the best way forward towards supporting farming, fishing, and animal husbandry. Mr. Blinken appreciated the contributions of President Muhammadu Buhari in protecting the climate, saying America and Nigeria have diverse challenges, but a common denominator is security, and hoped for better partnerships.
We're working with Nigeria to address security challenges. We discussed the importance of a comprehensive approach that builds effective security forces, addresses the underlying drivers of extremism, and respects Nigerians' basic human rights. The United States is committed to helping Nigeria do that by continuing to invest in our security partnership and the institutions that strengthen the rule of law and that hold accountable those who commit human rights abuses, corruption, and other acts that harm the Nigerian people. We're also working closely with Nigeria to help the populations most affected by conflict and violence in the country, particularly in the Northeast, where the United States is providing vital humanitarian aid to approximately 2.2 million internally displaced Nigerians.
At a joint media briefing with the Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema, the U.S. Secretary of State described the report of the NSAS probe panel as democracy in action.
The range of issues that we're working on together is vast, but given the interests we share and the challenges we have in common, delivering for our people demands that we find ways to deepen our existing ties and partnerships even further. That's ultimately what this visit and the work that we're doing every single day between our governments, between our people, what it's all about. We strongly support Nigeria's engagement, leadership, and strong voice in both regional and, for that matter, leading international organizations.
Over the last 5-6 years of this government, we've maintained very close relations with the U.S. We see the U.S. as a very important global partner, largest economy in the world, most powerful country in the world, and we engage at the multilateral and the bilateral level with the U.S. And we also can appreciate that they also see us as having a very important position and a very important role to play on the African continent, and so we also engage with the U.S. in playing a regional role also on the continent.
Mr. Blinken, who is on tour of some African countries, had earlier in the year held a virtual meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And Vice President Yemi Osinbajo also received the visiting United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They discussed issues of common interest. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo expressed gratitude to the United States government for its support in the fight against COVID-19 and in the efforts to combat terrorism in the country.
And again, just to reaffirm most of what you have said, especially about the importance of the cooperation and the importance of working together. And it's absolutely critical. It's been shown, especially in the response to COVID-19, and I think that this was probably a providential way of showing just how interconnected the whole world is, and there is no real solution without everyone being protected from this pandemic and the possibility of others. And I also like to thank you again, thank the government of the U.S. for the cooperation on security, which has been very important to us. The super tucanos have been delivered, and of course we're looking forward to the helicopters as well. But also, I think more importantly, a lot of the infrastructure support and the intelligence support that we've gotten from the U.S. on the security issues in the Northeast and the Sahel. Of course, the challenges, continue they seem to increase, especially the Sahel today, and most of what we're seeing in the Lake Chad region with ISWAP and all of that. And I think that going forward, we, of course, as we talked about, we're looking forward to greater collaboration, greater cooperation.
The agenda that we have so very well, and it's really reflective of the fact that the work that our countries are doing together is both incredibly broad in the things that we're doing and also increasingly deep. And we welcome that. We welcome working in ever closer ways, because one of the things that we feel very strongly is that the big challenges all of our citizens face simply can't be addressed by any one of us acting alone. There's a greater premium than there's ever been on working together, finding ways to cooperate. We're all feeling that very strongly when it comes to COVID-19, and we're grateful for the work we've been able to do together on that. And I think looking to the future, developing capacity for manufacturing vaccines in Africa is going to be critical, especially in dealing with unfortunately the next pandemic, because there almost certainly will be one. We know from the work that we're doing together on climate that we have to be doing this.
Foreign Affairs Minister Jeffrey Onyema had earlier commended the government of the United States and the visiting Secretary of State for the love shown to Nigeria. The occasion was also used to adopt their joint statement on the signing of the $2.17 billion Development Objective Assistance Agreement in support of Nigeria. In the State House, Jide.
The ongoing three-day warning strike by workers of the Nigerian Railway Corporation is reportedly having a negative toll on the economy, with Abuja alone believed to have lost an estimated 90 million naira since activities were suspended at the train station. Other train stations across the country are also said to be affected, a situation that has inflicted hardship on intending passengers. Ruth Agwele compiled the situation reports from Abuja and Kaduna.
This is the popular Idu train station, but it is under lock and key for now, as train services are grounded. Oina Kaluoka reports that the entrance to the station was devoid of the usual operation as the workers embark on 3 days warning strike to demand for better working condition.
Good welfare we are seeking for. You are paying Chinese dollars.
No quotas for staff. We are sleeping inside container. No quotas. There is no boss.
We are agitating for enhanced salary structure. We are agitating for review of standard condition of service. We are agitating for personal insurance.
Equipment are equally highly expensive, and they insure the lives of all their equipments that are there. But even to insure the lives of somebody that is even driving this equipment, it has not been there.
As I'm talking to you, we're still dealing with them. The Honorable Minister of Transportation has made strong cases.
In Kaduna, the Rigasa station was also a shadow of itself as the staff embarked on the warning strike to drive home their demands. Haruna Mohammed reports that the shutdown of the train station affected economic activities.
We do not know where our next meal is going to come from because all the passengers either coming to or from the train station, they are no more.
As train services suspends for now, porters for the purchase of tickets have also been suspended. Passengers both in Abuja and Kaduna are said to have resorted to vehicles as alternative. Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
And there's more on the railways as we go over to Lagos and link up with Hingino, who has more reports. Hingino, the trains have ground to a halt, haven't they?
Thank you, Cyril. And from here in Lagos, Nigerian Railway Workers Union says there is no going back on the 3-day running strike embarked upon to drive home its demand for better welfare for every rail worker. The National Secretary of the Union, Comrade Segun Esan, said this while speaking with Kehinde Adebisi, who visited the Mobalaji Johnson train station, Ebutemeta, in Lagos.
Arriving at the Mobalaji Johnson train station, I was met by union members who barricaded the entrance and administrative block of the corporation. The usually busy station was a shadow of itself with no activity going on. The Secretary General Association of the Nigerian Railway Corporation will let the protest say the action is the last resort as the union is seeking the attention of the federal government.
What we want to achieve with our 3-day warning strike is absolutely nothing else but attention and empathy, and which will bring us to a level where all our legitimate charter of demands will be looked into.
Yemi Adesoya plans for the day has been thwarted due to the strike.
It's something that we should know, or the public should know, so that people don't just waste transportation down here and you get here and they say they are not working.
Managing Director, Nigerian Railway Corporation, says adequate measures are being put in place to address the situation.
We have before now reached out to our clients and customers that we are still talking with our workers, the union leaders, and if by chance they agree to what we have agreed to do, we will come back. But we hope it will not last the 3 days.
It will be remembered that the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, who got wind of the strike, met with leadership of the union to reach a compromise, but to no avail. The 3-day warning strike ends on November 20th. In Lagos, Kehinde Adebisi, NTA News.
And now, away from the industrial action, the Police Public Complaints Committee has begun its sensitization campaign to educate Nigerians on how to channel their grievances on the misconduct of police personnel to their appropriate quarters for necessary action. Minister of Police Affairs, who was speaking at the Police Public Complaints Commission Southwest Sensitization Campaign, was emphatic that the exercise will go a long way in enhancing police public relations in Nigeria.
No doubt that the memory of the NSAS protest last year and its negative consequences is still lingering in the minds of Nigerians. The protest was due to incessant cases of police brutality, which got Nigerian youth angry and made them take to the streets to express their feelings. Minister of Police Affairs says the idea of Police Complaints Committee is to have a permanent structure that will address incidents of police brutality and abuses of human rights of Nigerians, with assurance that the complaints will be attended to promptly.
If the PPCC had been active, it would have provided adequate channel through which affected Nigerians would ventilate their grievances on police brutality, and the strategy which before the nation late last year would have been averted.
There is need for us to ensure accountability for the actions and/or inactions of officers complained of the police, with a view to ensure protection of citizens' rights.
The campaign will further create the much-needed awareness of the committee's existence and functions as an effective and appropriate institution to receive and address public complaints against police personnel.
On our activities, and these will, of course, assist us to amend the state in ensuring that the police as a law enforcement agency are very held in respect for the rights of the citizens.
It is expected that a sensitization campaign, which will be held in 6 geopolitical zones in the country, will to a large extent help to deepen the ongoing process of reshaping the police for effective service delivery. In Lagos, Kehinde Adebisi, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. It's time for another break. The news will be back shortly.
Sure, Danny. This one where you get Christmas mood, so see you with this and this and this every day now. Christmas. Christmas with Glow Berekete plus. Now, I feel listen to all my favorite jams all night long.
Glow Berekete Plus is here, and every day is now Christmas. Existing Glow customers will get 400% bonus on every recharge and 100 MB data bonus on first recharge of the month. New Glow customers will get 1,000 Naira welcome bonus. To activate, buy a new Glow SIM today or dial *777# for existing Glow customers.
Every day now Christmas with the Glow Berekete Plus.
The federal government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Health, in collaboration with NPHCDA and partners, has massively increased vaccination sites across the country to expand access for citizens to seamlessly get vaccinated. In addition to the health facilities, you can now receive the COVID-19 vaccine at shopping malls, open markets, schools, general hospitals, tertiary health institutions, and many centers across Nigeria. This is in addition to at least one primary healthcare center per political ward. To this end, the federal government is flagging off the next phase of the national COVID-19 mass vaccination campaign in Abuja. The general public is hereby invited to be part of the flag off and use the opportunity to receive the COVID-19 jab as follows. Date, Friday, the 19th of November 2021. Venue, Eagle Square, Abuja, FCT. Time, 10 a.m. This message is from National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
The 2021 I Am Nigeria Awards is here. This epoch-making dinner and award ceremony comes as a shining light of hope against the many fears and doubts around us as a people in this great nation, Nigeria. This year's edition of the awards will lift hopes and strengthen courage as the works and efforts of a great number of industrious and result-oriented Nigerians and brands will be recognized and appreciated. One of such recognitions is the I Am Nigeria COVID-19 Special Commendation Award. This category of award will recognize and appreciate organizations and individuals whose effort and selfless service helped in mitigating the spread and the impact of the COVID-19 in Nigeria. This event will hold on the 20th of November 2021 at the Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. Time 4 p.m.
Enjoy the reward that sharing brings with the Airtel Family Plan. Get bonus talk time, SMS, and data for each family member you share with. Dial *141# now.
Now everybody knows.
Airtel, the smartphone network. Once upon a time, an idea was born. It grew into one institution with a master plan. Since 1989, IBTC has evolved to become Stanbic IBTC, setting the base as one of the first holding companies in Nigeria. Over the years, we've expanded beyond banking to owning formidable business subsidiaries across 10 industries, all backed up with AAA Fitch rating. With over 4,000 employees, our presence across the country is further strengthened by our efficient network of digital channels. Our dedication to the Nigerian dream has granted us recognition 44 times by 18 awarding bodies in 6 sectors. We are proud to be champions of exponential trade finance through our partnership with the largest bank in the world, facilitated across 22 sectors. Nigeria is our home, and we are committed to driving her growth. So whatever your dream is, we believe it can be.
Back in Abuja now, the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, has been recognized for its interventions in agribusiness in the Niger Delta region. The Catfish and Allied Fish Farmers Association of Nigeria, CAFAFAN, conferred an award of excellent service on Effiong Aqua. Aqua was represented by the Director Aquaculture and Fishery, Felix Amurwe.
Delta Development Commission is not relenting in her intervention mandate to promote agribusiness in the Niger Delta region. Hence, the Catfish and Allied Fish Farmers Association of Nigeria is conferring on the MD an honorary award in recognition of his contribution in the promotion of agriculture.
Happy to help you. We have trained over 15,000 youths and women and practicing farmers in the region in various areas of agribusiness. And just recently, we have concluded plans to also train an additional 2,000 persons, youth and women in the region.
Other stakeholders at the event identified areas that need urgent attention to further improve food sufficiency in the country.
We are called Niger Delta because of the peculiarities of our environment, and that requires that we should be able to feed the entire country with the resources from that environment.
Some beneficiaries of NDDC agricultural interventions speak.
And the NDDC trained us at Abuja. When we came back, they empowered us. And we started about 2,500 finger days.
The theme for the event is Aquaculture, a true business opportunity, empowerment and economic development. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Plateau State House of Assembly has reportedly received a letter of resignation from the embattled Speaker Abok Nuhu Ayuba, dated 1st November 2021, which was read during the House of Assembly plenary by new Speaker Yakubu Sanda. However, Nuhu Ayuba has denied sending in such a letter. Ijoma Ozomena reports that the legislators have relocated to the old government house pending the completion of renovation of the Assembly complex.
Speaker Yakubu Sanda seeks to consider his impeachment as resignation.
Please accept this letter as a formal notice of resignation as the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly.
It was then committed to the Committees on Public Accounts and Petition and that of Rules and Business for necessary action. Meanwhile, the embattled Speaker Abok Nuhu Ayuba, in a telephone call, denied tendering resignation letter to the House. During the plenary, the House considered and passed into second reading the 2022 Appropriation Bill. Presenting the synopsis of the budget, Majority Leader Nanlong Daniel noted that the income and expenditure captured in the budget are geared towards revamping the state's economic fortunes. Other members who contributed on the bill described it as realistic and attainable and advised government to look inwards for alternative means of revenue to fund it. In Jos, Ijoma Ozemena, NTA News.
And we go over to Felicia in Jos for another report. Felicia.
Thank you. Welcome to Jos. Professor of Pediatrics and Nephrology, University of Jos, Isaac Ocheke says cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death globally, calling on stakeholders to make concerted efforts and find workable solutions to them. This was at the 8th Professor Alfred Ekeme Foundation lecture held at the Jos University Teaching Hospital. Zanred Imon reports.
The lecture, Mitigating Cardiovascular Diseases in the Adult, Nurturing the Child's Kidney, seeks to address the burden of cardiovascular diseases being a global health concern. The professor says about 2 decades ago, majority of the deaths from cardiovascular diseases occurred in high-income countries, while the vast of deaths in low-income countries were attributable to communicable diseases. However, a drastic transition has taken place in the last few years, such that the greatest number of deaths from the diseases now occur in low-income countries.
Those who have stage 1 to 3 CKD
have a significantly higher incidence of cardiovascular events than those in the normal population.
The timing for Professor Cheke's lecture is out, as the prevalence of cardiovascular disease and kidney diseases and their complications among the pediatric and adult population are increasing at an alarming rate in Nigeria and worldwide.
Chief Medical Director JUF, Professor Edmund Banwatch, represented, lauded the scholarly lecture and pledged the hospital's support for researches that will boost the operations of the health system. Goodwill messages came from various quarters, reminiscing on Professor Ikeme's life and time as the first professor of medicine, University of Jos, and also the first medical director of JUF. Zenred Dingu, NTA News.
And that's it from Jos. We will rejoin Cyril in Abuja after this break. Stay with us.
Make a perfect bowl of love, a perfect blend of taste that brings every ingredient to life. The fusion of different spices, the unique aroma that rejuvenates your senses, the heartwarming deliciousness, and the satisfaction that comes from every bite, which makes you say, I love my Indomie.
Me and you, let's go to Ghana. Hey! Go and jump. This is Ghana. You've come here to seek for greener pastures. Make it your worthwhile.
Any guinea fowl is a guinea. Guinea fowl has nothing to do with guinea. It's just the name of the fowl.
So Ghana what? Is it Nigerian beans?
What?
Have we made before?
No. Jasper! Help me!
The Budweiser Game of Kings is finally here. Watch the battles to beat all battles live. La Liga's Roberto Carlos and Premier League's John Terry will be going head-to-head while playing alongside our very own MPFL players. So come join us on NTA Network and Budweiser's social media network on Saturday, November 20th at exactly 12 p.m.
Niger, it's on. Game of Kings is brought to you by Budweiser, the official sponsors of the EPL and La Liga.
There is a saying that Christmas is what you make of it. At Bedmates Furniture, we enjoy making your Christmas comfortable and exciting with the furniture we provide you. That's why from 1st November to 18 December 2021, Bedmates offers you and your loved ones amazing luxury furniture your home loves and truly needs at up to 70% discount. You also stand a chance to win fridges, TVs, washing machines, and many more as we keep making your living better through the furniture you love.
Did you hear the super exciting news?
What have you heard?
GoTV's going super.
Are you serious?
Bringing new channels with super awesome novellas, super duper kid shows,
all right,
and super slamming WWE 24/7. All at the super cool price of 5,500 Naira.
Good.
Get GoTV's brand new package. GoTV Super.
The Budweiser Game of Kings is finally here. Watch the battles to beat all battles live. La Liga's Roberto Carlos and Premier League's John Terry will be going head-to-head while playing alongside our very own MPFL players. So come join us on NTA Network and Budweiser's social media network on Saturday, November 20th at exactly 12 p.m.
Niger, it's on. Game of Kings is brought to you by Budweiser, the official sponsors of the EPL and La Liga.
The Hammers will be hoping to continue their winners. Travel to Wolverhampton. Will the Wolves throw a spanner in their works this Saturday? It's Wolverhampton versus West Ham United on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu and powered by Integral.
And that concludes Network News tonight. Remember, support the NTA in standing against rape and rapists. I'm Cyril Stover. Good night.